We're gonna film with the glasses on. Or change it. Oh my god, someone blind. Welcome back, and we are back in the park, trying to get some sun in before the seasons change. Um, so I was thinking about modern career trajectories, right? Um, what's that story like? What's going on in that department? And that's pretty much going to be what we're going to unpack today is modern career trajectories. Right. So from what I learned in uni, this was a stat my professor gave me that he was basically like a mentor professor, not my arts professor, but I did an interdisciplinary unit, so he was my mentor professor. And he told us the stat that from our generation onwards, maybe like the last of the millennials, but from our generation onwards, from Gen Z onwards, we are going to go through seven careers, seven switches in our entire lifespan of a career lifespan. We are going to switch careers every now and then. That's crazy, isn't it? Like, my parents' generation seems to be the last generation that stuck to something for their entire lifetime. Okay, and these are just some new things which all feel very bizarre, and I just want to talk about that today as to how am I going to navigate it as an artist. Am I going to be an artist for the rest of my life? Maybe, yeah, 100% yes, but maybe not in the professional definition of it. Maybe I'll remain an artist in the way I think, because I believe an artist is a mindset and not a profession. I mean, it is a profession, but it's very complicated and controversial. But I think at the core, it's actually a mindset. Just as a sports person, as an athlete has a mindset, right? Just like that, even an artist has a mindset. So yeah, at the core, I'll be that for the rest of my life. But professionally, what am I going to be doing for the rest of my life? I don't know. Maybe I'm going to be one of those stats who's going to keep switching. Who's going to keep switching careers. So, um, let's start with step one. As I've shared with you guys before, I'm currently an educator and a salesperson. So we've already covered that bit. But going forward, how am I going to make it a real deal? You know, how am I going to do that? That's the big question. How am I going to do that? Gallery, setting up my own gallery space. That would be the next step going forward, I guess. Setting up my gallery space and selling my work. Honestly, full time selling my work at really exorbitant prices, which people are willing to spend on. So, selling my work. And the third would be sort of creating an ecosystem. I know I said in the previous video that my ecosystem is myself, but I guess that's what I mean. Creating my own ecosystem where not exactly brand, because I think that's already formed by creating my website. I've created a brand, but I don't know if I'm going to be selling anything in that brand. Maybe my artworks, but my artworks don't really have one brand. I make what I feel, I express. That's pretty much it, right? So it is pretty blank. Just trying to get through this week's YouTube video. So let's see how much I have to say. Maybe we'll do some snip snaps. Um, I might. I didn't really plan anything for today, which is not very good on my end because I was trying to go go crazy, go raw. But let's see. So, yeah, the next step would be pitching my work to galleries that are already established, but that are quite open minded and they don't have like their rubric. Um, Building a portfolio there, building some experience there. And let me do that for a bit. Yeah, and then build a community pretty much. And then maybe one day own my own gallery space where by that time I'm a well-renowned artist. So people know who I am and they know my work and they know my expression and they resonate with it and they like it. So one of that as well. So this brings me to the point of how do we pitch ourselves or how how to stay relevant. My question is why? My question is why? Why do you want to have only one label as your professional label when in reality, as a person, you don't have one label? You have 10 labels sometimes, you know? So, so why do you want one label when you're not that one person? So just, I think the point is to embrace all the aspects of yourself and very wisely pitch them to the different people you meet. So if you are in, um, again, if you're amongst people who are engineers, okay, they're very, or other scientific people, either engineers or you're among people who are medical, not medical, I would say who are scientists, okay, you're amongst people who are scientists, engineers, that field, okay, you're amongst those people. How would you pitch yourself? You can call in that space, you can call yourself an artist because somewhere science is also an art. It's understanding facts, it's understanding things, it's finding new things that existed but you didn't know that existed. So it's discovering new things. Some of them lead to inventions, most of them are discoveries. So that's the entire process is very similar to an artist's process. So you can pitch yourself as an artist when you're in that space, um and you can also, it's different, it changes from space to space, and that's the beauty of it, is what I wanted to tell you. And you're free to have multiple careers is also what I wanted to share, because I see myself going forward like that. I don't see myself having only one thing, only one. Maybe the only constant would be that I want to do multiple things. That would be the only constant, I guess. But other than that, there's no other constant. So right now I'm in the space of educating. So educating and nurturing is the space I'm in, and it's really fulfilling, very fulfilling, and that perfectly um it sort of pours into my creative self as well, because I get to peacefully create paintings or sketches because I am learning new things when it comes to children on a daily basis and how child psychology is. I'm learning that and I'm learning from them. So when I'm dealing with that energy, the paintings I create would have that effect. So that's the space I'm in right now, or like the videos I make will have that effect. That's the space I'm in right now. And we don't know how long this is going to last. It might change in 6 months, it might change in a year. I might try something new then. But that's the thing. You find your hold on different things, and it's almost like skill building. Skill building is happening, which is always a good thing when you're in your 20s. That's what we're doing. We're building skill, we're experimenting, we're putting our foot in places, and yeah, we see what works, what doesn't work. And there's no harm in having an armory of skills an armory of different labels, basically. You don't have to be called one thing. You can be called multiple things. And that's just I wanted to that's a little bit of a insight for this week is, do we need to have one career for the rest of our lives? I don't think so. Not anymore. What is the definition of a career? To have purpose and to be self-sufficient financially, okay, and to have a retirement plan. That's what it is. But if you're just doing multiple things for the rest of your life, you don't have to retire, guys. That's what I'm trying to say. You don't have to retire. I personally don't believe in the concept of a retirement. I don't see myself retiring. I will be working till I take my last breath. And if that work means creating art, so be it. If that work means volunteering to look after young children, so be it. If that work means, who knows? I actually don't know how I'm going to be when I'm 80 years old. But what I'm saying is, work, try out different things, and have the basics along the way as well. And it's possible to do all of these things, you know, and explore. That's what I'm trying to say. So, yeah, that's it for this week. Bye bye. Ciao, ciao.